What is Iman in the end? I never want to turn this off because this is what gives me real peace. I don't want this to disconnect from me. I don't want to be disconnected. And that cannot happen unless the insides are in consistency with the... Assalamu alaikum. Before you begin this video, just quickly wanted to let you know that so much of the work on the Quran has been completed on Bayyinah TV. I want you to enjoy systematically studying the Quran from the beginning all the way to the end in brief and then in great detail. And to do that, I'd like for you to sign up on BayyinahTV.com. And once you appreciate what's going on in Bayyinah TV, I want you to become an ambassador for it and share that subscription with friends and family and give it as a gift also. Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي فالحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Once again everybody, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This session I'm going to try to talk to you about the Arabic origins of the word kufr and the word iman, and some interesting observations involving that, and that what that can do to inform us about what Allah is saying in this ayah. So let's begin with kufr, because Allah says فَمِنْكُمْ كَافِرٌ وَمِنْكُمْ مُؤْمِنٌ, right? So we're going to talk about kufr a little bit. الكفر بالفتح ظلمة الليل وسواده. Kafr in Arabic with a ka, not ku, but ka, kafr, is actually the darkness of the night or the blackness of the night. وَكَفَرَ الرَّجُلُ مَتَاعَهُ أَوْعَاهُ فِي وِعَاءٍ. When a person does kufr of his items, if I did kufr of this bag or this phone, I stuck it in my bag where you couldn't find it. I put it deep inside a container, so it's in the black darkness of the container. Right? That's actually the act of kufr. وَالْفَارِسُ يعني كَفَرَ الْفَارِسُ دِرْعَهُ بِثَوْبٍ. When a horse rider is wearing metal armor, but he's hiding the armor under regular clothes, he's doing kufr of the armor. He's hiding it. وَلَبِسَهُ فَوْقَهُ فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. وَكَفَرَ اللَّيْلُ الشَّيْءَ كُلُّ مَا غَطَّى شَيْئًا وَكُلُّ مَنْ سَتَرَ شَيْئًا فَقَدْ كَفَرَهُ. Just like the night covered something, meaning the darkness covered something, enveloped something, the darkness did kufr of it. So an overshadowing darkness or putting something in a hidden place. Everything that covers something or anything that hides something is doing kufr of it. So if you're hiding money in your pocket, you're doing kufr of that money. If you're hiding jewelry in a box, you're doing kufr of that jewelry. You understand? That's the original literary meaning or the literal meaning of the word kufr. غَطَّاهُ بِسَوَادِهِ, to cover something in its blackness, in its darkness. Okay? Now, المعنى المحوري تغطية تامة كثيفة لا يظهر معها شيء من المغطى. When something is completely enveloped and none of it shows, none of it can be seen. فالتغطية هنا دفن. And actually the covering here is something like burying. والكافر بالله من ذلك. And the kafir in Allah is actually an example of that. So the kafir of Allah is an example of someone who puts something in the dark. لأنه غطى في نفسه بعماه شواهد وجود الله وعظمته الظاهرة والباطنة. Because a person like that, when they do kufr, they are hiding in the darkness deep within themselves. They find some dark place within themselves to hide what they know to be true of the existence of God and His greatness, the seen and the unseen evidences. Meaning, they see external evidence for God, they hide it. They feel the internal evidence for God, they hide it. And that's what makes them a kafir. Someone who buries the light of Allah that Allah gave them deep inside them so that it keeps unseen. وقد ذكر الراغب. Raghib is a famous scholar, Imam Raghib al-Asfahani, who wrote Mufradat Gharib al-Quran, tough words in the Quran or strange etymology in the Quran. So he talked about the origins of words, some words in the Quran. Very famous dictionary of the Arabic language, classical work. أنه قد يعبر عن التبري بالكفر كما في قوله تعالى ثم يوم القيامة يكفر بعضكم ببعض إني كفرت بما أشركتموني من قبل أو إنا كفرنا بكم بدا بيننا وبينكم العداوة in Surah Al-Mumtahana also. وهو ملحظ جيد. Imam Raghib adds something to the meaning of kufr. That is when someone absolutely denies any connection to someone else, then they're doing kufr of them. So one meaning was to hide something deep, and the other is, if you and I are friends and then the police show up, I don't know this guy. Then if I say I don't know this guy, I did kufr of you. I have no connection to this person. That's called tabarri. And this is actually used in the Quran in that meaning. On the Day of Judgment, disbelievers, what does he say about them? يَكْفُرُ بَعْضُكُمْ بِبَعْضٍ. Some of you will be doing kufr of other people. You guys used to sin against Allah together, but on Judgment Day, you're like, I don't know this person. I have nothing to do with them. يَكْفُرُ بَعْضُكُمْ بِبَعْضٍ. إِنِّي كَفَرْتُ بِمَا أَشْرَكْتُمُونِ مِنْ قَبْلِ. Ibrahim alayhi salam will tell his people, I do kufr of all the shirk you do, meaning I disconnect myself. I have nothing to do with the shirk you do. In fact, he even said this to his people along with some of his few followers. He said, kafarna bikum. We do kufr of you, meaning we disconnect ourselves from you. So there's disconnect, denial, and there's hiding, concealing. Those are the two meanings so far. وهو ملحظ جيد لأن يوم القيامة ليس فيه كفر بالله تعالى والتبري جحد علاقة كانت موجودة. So that's just something I already explained to you. Okay. وهو من باب جحد وجود الله ووحدانيته أخذا من تغطية شواهد ذلك. And this is also why kufr is used for someone who denies either the existence of God or the existence of the evidence of Allah being the one true God. They deny those things because they are hiding them deep within themselves. And from it comes kafara ni'ma or wakafara ni'mat Allah, jahadaha. When kufran is used in one more way, and that is to be ungrateful. To be ungrateful. And let me tell you why this meaning came about. If I deny you and I hide something, let me put this together in a story. You did a lot of favors for me. You did everything to help me. You helped me with my exams. You helped me get a job and all of that stuff. And all of a sudden I act like I don't even know you and you've done nothing for me. And I hide all the favors you did for me. I put them away in a dark place where I deny them and I don't let anybody else see them either. And then I act like I don't know you at all. Right? This is the height of ingratitude. You're disconnecting from the one who did favors to you, and you are absolutely hiding, concealing all of the favors that were done to you, even though they were done to you, but you're not even acknowledging it. Right? There are people in your life that you will find that do kufr of you pretty good. Right? You do a lot for them, and then they turn around and say, you? Do something for me? What did you ever do for me? No, all you ever did was cause me pain. How did I cause you pain? By existing. Right? So they're doing this is kufran and ni'mah, the denial of the favor. That's why the simpler meaning is ingratitude, but it's actually an entire elaborate story of ingratitude. By the way, if you go out of your way to disconnect from someone who's done good to you, and you go out of the way, you have to constantly reject the favor that was done, right? Like let's say they bought you a car, right? And now you're hiding the fact that you can't hide the car, but you're hiding the papers, the record, all of that. You're never telling anybody about it because you want to stay hidden, right? And you don't want anything to do with that person who gave you the car, etc., etc. But every time you get in the car, what do you feel? A little bit dirty on the inside? A little bit? And if somebody doesn't even know the story and they get in the car, hey, nice car, when'd you get it? What happens? I don't know, I just bought it. And every time you have to lie about that, what happens inside you? A disturbance, an irritation. And if somebody comes along that actually knows, hey, I remember your brother got you that car, right? What happens then? Oh, why does this person exist? How does someone still know? I hate it when someone reminds me. Because I'd like to keep all of that what? Hidden. And then on top of all of that, if your brother came by, who actually gave you the car, you're like, oh, I hate seeing his face. And you're in his car too at the time. That just burns a little extra, right? What I'm trying to get at is there's a kinaya here. There's an implication here. And the implication is the one who does kufr is working so hard to keep it concealed and working so hard to reject that they actually live kind of paranoid. They're on edge. They're not at peace. I want you to keep that conception in mind, okay? Now, وَكُفْرُ النِّعْمَةِ وَكُفْرَانُهَا سَتْرُهَا بِتَرْكِ أَدَاءِ شُكْرِهَا. And the kufr of a blessing or a kufr of a favor is to hide it, and by not doing any gratitude towards it. فَلَا كُفْرَانَ لِسَعْيِهِ. Allah talks about believers, that their efforts will never be unappreciated. وَأَعْظَمُ الْكُفْرِ جُحُودُ الْوَحْدَانِيَّةِ وَالشَّرِيعَةِ وَالنُّبُوَّةِ وَالْكُفْرَانِ فِي جُحُودِ النِّعْمَةِ أَكْثَرُ اسْتِعْمَالًا. Kufran gets used more for ingratitude. Kufr gets used for more denial. Remember, there were two components, denying and then ingratitude. So the ingratitude is kufran. And the denial and the hiding is kufr. But then there's one more word that combines both of them, and that is kafur. Or kufur rather, kufur. So the word kufur is both denying and ingratitude. But when it's used as a verb, both meanings can exist. Okay. Now, ويقال منهما كفر فهو كافر قال في الكفران ليبلوني أشكر أم أكفر ومن شكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه. That's why in the Quran, kufr comes as an opposite of iman. Iman means what? Faith. And the rejection of it, the denial of it, the concealing of it, that's kufr. But kufr also comes as an antonym of shukr. So Allah says, إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Right? So, or وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ فَإِنَّمَا وَمَنْ يَشْكُرْ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Surah Luqman. Right? So gratitude and kufr also come as antonyms. So it has two opposites. One is belief and the other is gratitude. Which is really amazing. Look at how words connect in the surah, how everything is woven together. You found in the previous ayah, lahul hamd. Hamd belongs to him. Gratitude belongs to him. And the next ayah says, among you are those that are ungrateful, who reject that hamd, right? And then of course the other meaning is those who reject the truth, and the opposite of that is kufr. So it works with both iman and both against hamd, the word kafir here. It works with something that came before, and it's working with something that's coming right after. Okay. Now, I just explained that one to you, so I got ahead of myself. Now let's talk about iman. So that was a little bit about kufr. Now let's talk about iman. ناقة أمون وهي أمينة وثيقة الخلق. A camel that is full, meaning it's had enough to drink, and it's confident that it can go a long way. That would be a camel that is amun. It's called an amun. So you can call your sister that if you're throw an insult. Okay. وَالْأَمَانَةِ هِيَ الْوَدِيعَةِ الَّتِي تُودَعُ مَنْ يَحْفَظُهَا. This is where it gets interesting. From iman comes the word amana. What is amana? It is something that is placed deep inside or placed somewhere safe so you can guard it. What does that sound like? Kind of like kufr. Because what do you do in kufr? You put something inside a wadi'ah. And now, التي تودع عند من يحفظها. An amana is something you put, like a trust is something, if you're trusted with something, you put it in a safe. You're trusted in something, you put it in a secure place, right? Al-amnu ضد الخوف. Now, listen to this. Remember what I told you? When somebody has kufr, are they in a state of peace or a state of anxiety? Anxiety, for reasons I described, right? Now look at iman. Iman is associated with the word aman. Aman. And it is the opposite of khawf, fear and anxiety. كأن الأمن تمكن في حصن كأن الآمن تمكن في حصن. As if the one who has aman, the amin, is safe inside of a secure fort. أو امتلأ قلبه امتلاء شديدا بما يطمئنه. Or a person's heart is completely filled with something that satisfies them. Someone who is amin is someone who feels completely safe and secure and calm and at ease. There's a direct contrast. There's one container that is deep inside that's causing anxiety, and another container, something's deep inside and it's causing what? Calm and contentment and safety and security. أو وآمنهم من خوف. Allah offered safety against fear. أأمنتم من في السماء in Surah Al-Mulk. Are you feeling safe from the one in the sky? إذ يغشيكم النعاس أمنة منه. When sleep took over you as a way of making you feel safe. Allah says, amanatan. Ma'man and ma'mun. This it also is the opposite of al-khiyana. Al-khiyana means dishonesty. Now what does dishonesty remind you of? The story I described about kufr. Here you are, receiving the car, hiding the paperwork, denying that the person did you a favor. All of that is an expression of khiyana, isn't it? So in a sense, Iman is about honesty and safety and security and securing something. And kufr is also about securing something, but securing something using dishonesty, ingratitude, rejection of truth, etc. They're both securing, but the consequences are entirely different and the intentions are entirely different. Well, aminu, the word amin is used for al-hafiz, the guardian. Amin is someone who will keep something safe. Well, amanatu diddul khiyana, like Allah says, فَلْيُؤَدِّ الَّذِي اؤْتُمِنَ أَمَانَتَهُ. Al-mu'min fi asma'illahi azza wa jal al-hafiz li'ibadi. One of the names of Allah is al-mu'min. It's one of the names of Allah. What does it mean? The one who guards his slaves and gives them safety. Al-mu'ammin كمحدث لهم من كل شر ونقص ظاهر وباطن أو الحفيظ عليهم. The one who secures them with anything that may take away their safety. آمن بالشيء صدق قبل الكلام ووثق به فتمكن من قبله. That's why Iman, from the same origin, is used when you accept something and you put it deep inside a container in your heart where it gives you security and calms you and you're at rest and at peace with it. You're not disturbed by what is inside you. In fact, the opposite, it gives you safety and security. And that's what Iman is. Now what's interesting about Iman, the word Iman, is it's both lazim and muta'addi. Often we don't discuss this concept. Lazim means I'm feeling safe. Muta'addi means I'm giving safety to others. The word mu'min is used for the believer, which means the believer is in safety because their heart has Iman inside it. But the word mu'min is also used for Allah. But it's not used because Allah Himself has safety for Himself. It's because Allah gives safety. He gives safety. Now this is the exact opposite of kufr, because the one who is hiding something in kufr does not want to tell anybody what he's hiding. But the one who has this safety, the one who has Iman, who is amin with Iman, wants to give this safety to others. They want to actually share this safety with others. They want others to feel this feeling that they're feeling. Al-imanu al-thiqah. Look at the linguistic, we're not even looking at tafsir right now. We're just looking at the Arabic etymology of this word. Al-imanu al-thiqah. Iman actually means conviction with confidence. Al-thiqah. To be sure of something, to be confident about something. وَإِظْهَارُ الْخُضُوعِ. And actually, while you're confident, you show humility. Which is really cool. You would think the people that are super confident are also super arrogant. Actually, the people that are super duper confident are humble. The height of confidence is what? Humility. Guys, sorry for the interruption in the middle of this lecture. Just before you continue, I want to let you know and encourage you that I want you to sign up for BayyinaTV.com and help others sign up or even sponsor students for BayyinaTV.com so we can create worldwide communities of students that are studying the meanings and the benefit and the wisdom of the Quran and are, inshallah ta'ala, spreading that in their own circles. Thanks so much. I'll give you an example. This is used in Arabic poetry. You know, you have the lion sitting there, humbled, its legs pawed out, and there's a dog barking. And what is the lion doing? Nothing. He's letting the dog bark. The dog's like, arr, 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 and the lion's like, I ain't gonna roar, you're gonna die. It's okay. I don't have to flex. You know what that is an expression of? Way too much confidence. There's so much confidence that you don't even have to show your power. You can just remain in your humble, silent state and it speaks for itself. You understand? Those of you that are in the world of business, in the world of medicine, the world of tech, whatever specialization you're in, sometimes you meet a super expert in your field. Someone who's really accomplished in their space. You know what you notice about those people? They don't talk much. And then you meet someone who hasn't accomplished much, but they really want to impress you. And what do you notice about them? They talk a lot. So the truly confident are actually humble, and the not so confident are very verbal, very, very, very vocal, right? And that you can tell who's what. You could just read the room and tell who knows what. So وإظهار الخضوع وقبول الشريعة أي الإيمان بدين أو عقيدة وقبول العقيدة وتمكنها في القلب وامتلاؤه بها. That even from a spiritual sense, when we accept the commandments of Allah, the deen of Allah, the belief system that Allah has given us, and it has settled in our hearts, and our hearts are filled with it. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون. Okay, now يؤمن للمؤمنين أي يسمع من المؤمنين ويسلم لهم ويقولون ويصدقهم. Allah says about يؤمن, there's an ayah, he believes or he listens to the believers, meaning the Prophet ﷺ listens to the believers and accepts what they're saying. He accepts, without skepticism what they're saying. Like believers would come and tell the Prophet ﷺ something, and instead of saying, I'm not sure what you're talking about, he would completely, wholeheartedly accept what they're saying. Iman is also, imanun lahu, is also when somebody says something to you, you completely and openly accept it. And that's our relationship with Allah. Allah says it, we have no skepticism, we accept it immediately. That's a state of comfort that we have with Allah Azza wa Jall's words. Okay. By the way, here's a word we say at the end of the Fatiha. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. What do we say? Ameen. بالمد. وأمين بالقصر معناه اللهم استجب أي تقبل فهي من الأصل. This word actually means, oh Allah, accept. But it also actually means, Ya Allah, give tranquility into my heart. Give me the calm. Bring the amin in. Allah, accept. So, just a few more notes, because I just had to do this with Iman. It deserves it. أصل الأمن طمأنينة النفس وزوال الخوف. The origin of the word amin is when a person feels deeply content within, satisfied within, and their fears and anxieties have gone away. ويجعل الأمان تارة اسما للحالة التي يكون عليها الإنسان في الأمن. When a person is in a state of aman, meaning they're completely content, that state is called aman. وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. Allah says about whoever comes into the haram for good intention, they are amin. How many people have gone to Hajj or Umrah ever? Okay, the first time you went and the first time you saw the Kaaba, there's something that took over you. There's a calm that came over you. There's a feeling that came over you. Perhaps a feeling you've never really quite felt before. And that's something Allah promised about His haram. Whoever enters it, enters into the state of aman. فَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. And those of us who Allah has not provided the rizq and the gift of seeing His haram yet, may Allah open that door for all of you. قوله تعالى ثُمَّ أَبْلِغْهُ مَأْمَنَةً. Let the person who's thinking about Islam, put them in a place where they feel completely safe so they can make that decision without any pressure. So that's ma'mana. Okay, last thing. I think it's the last thing. Oh yeah, two more things. Okay. وَيُرَادُ بِهِ إِذْعَانُ النَّفْسِ الْحَقِّ عَلَى سَبِيلِ التَّصْدِيقِ. Iman is actually for the person to accept the truth and actually declare that they have accepted that truth. وَذَلِكَ بِاجْتِمَاعِ ثَلَاثَةِ أَشْيَاء. And this happens when three things come together. تَحْقِيقُ الْقَلْبِ. The heart is completely accepted something. وَإِقْرَارٌ بِاللِّسَانِ. And the tongue has accepted it. وَعَمَلٌ بِحَسَبِ ذَلِكَ بِالْجَوَارِحِ. And the actions are in line with that. When you're acting against your feelings, you feel a disturbance. When you're being kind to someone you hate, it bothers you. Or when you're being mean to someone you love, it bothers you inside. When your heart and your actions are in contradiction, it creates a friction. It creates a dissonance inside you. Iman means being in a state of peace and calm. I cannot be in a state of calm unless my insides and my outsides are synced. There's no contradiction between them. I'm not acting against my own beliefs. There are people that I've met that have a sinful life, Muslims that have a sinful life, and they're about to walk into a club. But right before they walk into a club, Ya Allah, I know this is bad. I'm really sorry, okay? I'm really, really sorry. I gotta go. And then they go inside. And even though they can go inside and they'll describe, because I talk to people like that. I want to know what goes on in their head, right? They're like, so what do you feel when you're in there? It's like, I just turn it off. I was like, turn what off? I was like, turn my heart off. I just don't want to feel. Because if I turn it on, I'm going to feel what? Horrible. I'm going to feel terrible. And then when it's all done, then sometime later, I can't even, I'd like to keep it off, but what happens to it? It turns back on and I feel horrible. I feel really terrible about what I just did. you know. And that's when, even the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, لا يسرق السارق حين يسرق وهو مؤمن. The thief, when he's engaged in the act of stealing, isn't actually a believer at the moment. Which is similar to what this gentleman will tell me when he's walking into the club. What does he do? He turns his iman off. He switches it off. Let me not, right? And then let me do this, and then I'll come back. And what is iman in the end? I never want to turn this off because this is what gives me real peace. I don't want this to disconnect from me. I don't want to be disconnected. And that cannot happen unless the insides are in consistency with the outsides, right? That's what Imam Raghib is telling us, okay? Now, both kufr and iman have something to do with storing something within. Did you guys get that? Okay. Kufr, burying, hiding, concealing something, plus being ungrateful or denying any favor done. Pronouncing disavowal. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ كَتَمَ شَهَادَةً عِنْدَهُ مِنَ اللَّهِ. يعني هذا شرح الكافر. Who could be more wrong than someone who hides testimony that they have from Allah? This is what kufr is. Iman is containing something within, like kufr. However, being safe, giving safety, and being at peace. So both, you have something in, and one is giving safety and the other is not. Look at how Allah describes the situation with iman. He says in Surah Al-An'am, فَأَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ أَحَقُّ بِالْأَمْنِ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Which of the two groups deserves peace more, if you have any new, if you know it all? الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَمْ يَلْبَسُوا إِيمَانَهُم بِظُلْمٍ. Those who believed and didn't corrupt their belief with any wrongdoing. In the next 3 minutes, I'm just going to share with you, actually, I should read all of this to you because I don't want to skip anything. So this is classical commentary on this iman and kufr, in this ayah. إِنَّهُ يُرِيدُ فَمِنْكُمْ مُصَدِّقْ وَمِنْكُمْ جَاحِدْ. What Allah means here is there are those of you, when they hear the truth, they accept it. مُصَدِّق. And there are those of you, when they hear the truth, they want to argue against it. Jahid. That's what he means by kafir. The one who argues against the truth when it comes to them. وَقَالَ الضَّحَاكُ. Listen, this is the scary one. مُؤْمِنٌ فِي الْعَلَانِيَةِ كَافِرٌ فِي السِّرِّ كَالْمُنَافِقِ. Al-Dhahhak said this ayah means among you are those who openly look like they believe, but actually secretly they are disbelievers, like the munafiq. وَكَافِرٌ فِي الْعَلَانِيَةِ وَمُؤْمِنٌ فِي السِّرِّ كَعَمَّارِ ibn Yasir. Or it can also mean those who on the outside look like they disbelieve, but actually on the inside they have already believed. So it's not, so even Dhahhak is recognizing that this ayah is not about external iman and external kufr. It's actually about internal iman and internal kufr, which is the real one. That's the real one. The outside one is just for social purposes. But on Judgment Day, that won't mean anything. The only thing that will mean something is the one that was inside. That's the real one. And so he's saying there may be someone who looks mu'min but is kafir. And there may be someone who looks kafir but is mu'min, like Yasir, Ammar ibn Yasir. إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَا وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. There could be somebody who's being forced, but their heart is content with iman. There may be a Hindu living in India right now in a very extreme right-wing anti-Muslim village where if anybody finds out that they're Muslim, they'll get slaughtered. So they're attending their temple worships with their mother and cousin and everybody else, but secretly they go in a closet or on the side of the bathroom or somewhere, pull a curtain and make 2 rak'ah. And they're doing that, right? And on the outside, they look like, these Hindus, these pagans, but Allah knows that that person is a what? Is a believer. They're a believer in Allah. They're just not in a situation where they can openly declare their faith, right? وروى أبو سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه. This is a narration. خطبنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عشية. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم spoke to us one night. فذكر شيئا مما يكون فقال. And so he said some things that are going to happen. The Prophet was talking about things that are going to happen. And he said, يولد الناس على طبقات شتى. People have been brought to life, people have been born in different categories. يُولَدُ الرَّجُلُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيَعِيشُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيَمُوتُ مُؤْمِنًا. There's a person who was born a believer and was raised, lived the life of a believer and died a believer. وَيُولَدُ الرَّجُلُ كَافِرًا وَيَعِيشُ كَافِرًا وَيَمُوتُ كَافِرًا. A person is brought into a kufr society, born into a disbelieving society, lives a disbeliever's life, dies a disbeliever. وَيُولَدُ الرَّجُلُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيَعِيشُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيَمُوتُ كَافِرًا. And a person may be born into a believing family, lived as a believer, but died a disbeliever. وَيُولَدُ الرَّجُلُ كَافِرًا وَيَعِيشُ كَافِرًا وَيَمُوتُ مُؤْمِنًا. And it could be a person who was born in a disbelieving society, lived a disbeliever's life, but died a believer. But this is again describing the internal state. This is a hadith mentioned by Al-Qurtubi in his tafsir of this ayah. And in Sahih Muslim, إِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَيَعْمَلُ عَمَلَ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ فِيمَا يَبْدُو لِلنَّاسِ وَهُوَ مِنْ أَهْلِ النَّارِ. There could be a person who does things that look like the kind of things people of Jannah do. So he's doing heavenly good deeds from what people can tell, but this person belongs in the fire. وَإِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَيَعْمَلُ عَمَلَ أَهْلِ النَّارِ فِيمَا يَبْدُو لِلنَّاسِ وَهُوَ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. And it may be someone who does things that look like he's bound for hell as far as people can tell, and he's from the people of Jannah. قال علماؤنا, our scholars have said about this hadith, وَالْمَعْنَى تَعَلُّقُ الْعِلْمِ الْأَزَلِ بِكُلِّ مَعْلُومٍ فَيَجْرِي مَا عَلِمَ وَأَرَادَ وَحَكَمَ. That's because Allah has eternal knowledge of what's really going on with someone. And Allah has real knowledge of their constraints, of what the real state of their hearts. And so Allah will decide according to His perfect knowledge.
Hey guys, you just watched a small clip of me explaining the Quran in depth as part of the Deeper Look series. Studying the Quran in depth can seem like a really intimidating thing that's only meant for scholars. Our job at Bayyinah is to make deeper study of the Quran accessible and easy for all of you. So take us up on that challenge. Join us for this study, the Deeper Look of the Quran, for this surah and many other surahs on BayyinahTV.com under the Deeper Look section.